Welcome to this Cloud Animator tutorial where I'm going to show you how to create some of the interactive projects that we have in the Cloud Animator service. How to create interactivity within this project with a custom call to action buttons which allow me to jump from one page to another based on the commands that I drop in. So I have this project here, The Way North. This project has, I believe, 9 scenes inside. So what I've done is basically that I've created interactivity between these scenes. I've also created interactivity at the very end, which allows me to visit other websites once you preview the scene. So I'm going to show you what what this project looks like. I have it open here in preview, and I'm going to play this. And you'll notice that my project has music already. It's very well animated. It's very nicely animated. It looks very professional, very clean, and this is not difficult to do. With the Cloud Animator features that we have inside, it's very easy to create a good-looking project like this in no time. So in this tutorial, I'm not going to cover too much on how to do all the specifics of creating these animations, as we will be covering this in further tutorials in the future. So what I wish to do today is just to give you a quick overview of some of the interactivity that we can create with these projects thanks to buttons like these. So you'll notice that this project here has these buttons. And if I click on these buttons, they will take me to specific scenes inside my project. And I can jump forward if I like. Okay. I can also choose if I want to go to the very beginning. So notice down here I'm using this the play bar. So we have play and pause, and we also have stop. Okay, and if I play back, this will continue here. But we also have 3 motion buttons, 3 direction buttons. We have the first one that'll bring me to the very beginning of that project if I click on that. Okay, that's the very first scene in my project. Then we have move forward or a next button that will bring me to the next scene. And then likewise I have a previous one which will return me to the previous scene that I had. So this project here, as I mentioned, it has 9 scenes, and I have the first scene, which is a title, then we have route, and then we have the menu page. So within the menu page, I've added these interactive buttons here that would allow me to jump to specific scenes in my project later on, scenes that I've named. I'm going to show you how to do that in a while. Okay. We also have an index, a scene board index viewer here in the upper right, where if I click on that, then I will be able to go to specific pages in my project without having to use the play bar. So that makes it very, very handy for when you are on a mobile phone or a tablet and you want to go quickly to one of these scenes. Lastly, you'll notice down here on the right, we have the time segment, where we know that this specific scene will last for 20 seconds, and I'm currently running it at 9 seconds. And we also, the last part is that we have a full screen option, which will allow my project to run in full screen when I click on it. The same will work on a mobile phone, and I'm going to show you some footage about that later on at the end. So if you wish to return from here, just press the escape key on your keyboard and you will be out. Alright, so how do we accomplish something like this? How do we make these cool little buttons here with interactivity? Well, it's actually very, very simple. These buttons are no more than just vector icons that we've added text and we've dropped in a command action. So if I wish to do this, it's very simple. Just go to the content area here and go to shapes. And then inside we have different folders for button icons, we have callouts, we have clip arts, we have other icons here which you can use. So I like to use this button one, and you'll see that we have different arrows in different shapes. Some of them are just flat 2D, but other ones like this shape here has a shadow built into it. So it gives you the impression that it's actually a 3D object that you can click on it. Okay? This one right there. So I can customize this if I'd like to. First of all, I can drop in text, something like button, and I can increase the font. So it's very straightforward, very simple. And then I could choose the color for my font if I wanted to give it italics or whatnot, or if I'd like to change the font style. We can also play around with other options. I could change the color of that button. So I simply go all the way down to the fill color, and I can choose a specific color tone. I can do this manually with the color wheel, or I can use a color picker, and this will allow me to hover over any specific color in my project. Okay, and I can select that color, and it'll try to emulate that tone. So it's very simple. Okay, so let me delete this, and I'll continue with the interactivity. Once we have our button made like this, we want to drop in a command action. So it's very simple to do. Just highlight your button and go to the shape settings here, and you'll find an option that says link. And inside you will find all the command actions. So I can choose if I wish to establish a link to scene, which means that I can choose which scene that command will go to. So when people click on this day 1, I want them to visit scene 4, which is the one that says day 1A here. So that would be this one here. Or if I wish them to go to scene 5 or whatever, I just choose that. Okay. I can also drop in a specific website. I can have people click on that button, and that will open a URL. I can have them email me, add a phone number or a message, and I'll show you some of that later on. At this point, I just wish to stick to scene. And there's one more feature I want to show you about this, that this link to feature is very dependent on the name of your slide. So for example here, scene 3, this one is called menu, and scene 4 is called day 1A, which is this one here. So if I wish to rename this one, I can just go to settings, and this will give me the option to name it. I can say just day 1 beginning, okay? And I'll click outside, and now that is the name of this scene. So if I go back to my original button here, and I click on that, you'll notice that my scene to link has automatically adjusted to that renaming I gave scene 4. So it has a smart built-in feature that will automatically track all your scenes independently if you've changed their names. So the name of the game here is basically properly name your scenes, name them with something that you can remember, and that way you will easily be able to track and adjust the scene to link. Okay, so we've done that for all of these, and in the more info, I've brought everything into scene 9. So scene 9 is where I added websites to my scenes, and I will open that in the preview here. Let me go to the index, and I'll go to the last one. Okay, so I've added a website for location, where if I click location in Google Maps for Norway. For travel info, I've added a URL for a very nice web page called visitnorway.com, and this gives you a lot of useful information about Norway. We also add a call me and a join now. So if I hover over, you'll see that a phone number appears. So if I'm on a mobile phone, which I'll show you in a while, and I click on call me, this will open that option to call that specific number. And the same thing with join now. If I had a messaging service on my phone and I click on join now, that will allow me to send a specific message. So, and how do I do that? The same way. Location, I have that icon selected, and then automatically, look, it's going to go to link website and give me that specific Google Maps website. The same for travel info. For call me, it'll open a command for phone, and drop in that number. And then for join now, it will send an SMS to that specific number that I drop in, and I can even customize the text that I wish to add. So if I want to use this project per se, I'm going to go on a company trip, and I want to take my coworkers. I want my coworkers to join me in that company trip to Norway. So I can create an interactive project like this. I can send it to all of them. I can get them excited with all the visuals of Norway. And then at the end, I can have them click on these buttons to join me or to call me. Okay, so it's actually very cool what we can do with these projects, where we don't just drop we don't just drop images, static images, but we can also add specific videos to backgrounds. So, for example, this is one of the last scenes where we added a video into that slide. So this gives people a very interactive way of not just looking at static images, but looking at that nice video. And then lastly, there's an option that says back to menu, and as you guessed it, that'll bring you back to the original scene. Alright, so what would this look like on a mobile device? Well, I'll show you. I'll open that footage right now, and we can have a look. Alright, so here's my video, my footage for my cell phone. So once I have my project ready and I share this with someone, that person will be able to receive this URL, specific URL, on any messaging device or through email, or I can just text them this URL. So when they click on that, they will receive the project like this. This will open into a browser. And then you have the ability to move your cell phone or your smartphone phone horizontally, and then even maximize your project. And then this will run the project just like you did on your browser. And you'll notice that at the very bottom, we also have the mouse controls, the control bar of that project. So when this project plays like this, notice we're going to go into the menu page. So inside the menu page, you have the ability to interact with these buttons, and they will take you to specific scenes that are customized for each button that you have. All right, and they're going to play back just like that. So at the end, we also have that back to menu, and that will work the very same way as we did on the browser. So we can go to the last one here, and this will also play that video scene that we had. So it's not just about dropping in static images. You can use specific video URLs to add into your scenes. And how did we add this video? It's basically a YouTube link that's been embedded into that particular scene. So here we also have the index menu, and the cool thing is that you could slide these scenes with your finger, and you can select a specific slide that you'd like to visit. So it makes things very, very practical when you're viewing on a mobile device. So imagine somebody receives this, they can slide left and right, they can go to the menu, and they can automatically jump to specific slides or specific scenes that they like. We also have this play bar here at the bottom, and you can grab the time scrub to go all the way back, or you could scrub forward too. Okay, so it's very practical. And we have a return button that will take you to the very first slide of your project. So this makes it very, very easy to control, very quick to control, very practical when you're using a small handheld device like this. All right, so lastly, I'd like to show you some of the pages that we added in scene 9, remember? So just like we added the location with Google Maps, the same thing will happen. This will bring up Google Maps when you click on that specific command. So you won't have any trouble with that. It'll also do the same for the travel info one. Okay. So let me show you down here at the bottom. So as we're scrolling through the map, you'll notice that at the bottom we have a back and a front button. This is part of, in this example, part of Safari, since we're using an iOS device. So you can easily go front and back. So the next one is the travel info. So it's always a good idea to choose pages that are mobile phone friendly, URL pages that are mobile phone friendly, because they'll fit into your mobile phone and they'll adjust. Notice here we also have a done button. This done button, you need to be careful. Let me go back here a bit. When you open your page like this in Safari or in your phone browser, if you want to go front and back, you're going to use those arrows that were at the bottom. But up here, if you use the done one, it'll close that browser and it'll send you back to the original message that was being sent. So you need to be careful with that part. Okay? And once again, you have the ability to play around with all the slides, and you can click on all those and play and go back and forth. The last one is for the call us button. Remember that I dropped in the command to have people call you to that specific number. So on a mobile phone, it'll give me the option of immediately calling that number that I dropped in. So that's very, very practical. I can do the same for join now, where if I click on this action, it'll open the message option and it'll copy that original text that I dropped into my phone. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. We hope that we gave you a pretty good idea on some of the interactive projects and interactivity that you could create with your scenes by simply selecting buttons and adding command actions to them. We're going to have more tutorials coming. These will cover more about specifics about animations. So stick around and start playing around with Cloud Animator. Thank you.